question. Jonathan, the homework was something. I like the sound of it. The truth is hard to face. Yeah, no, it's the point of these exercises. And this is exactly what I do with my one-on-one clients, is to figure out where we are, not based on emotions, not based on opinions, but just what the data says. There's a famous quote in sports: "You are what the scoreboard says you are." I know that's not always true in business. Sometimes you could be doing everything right and the results haven't shown up yet. But if you want a clear picture of where you could attack, like where the issues are, where the challenges are, or all of that can be found by just reviewing your business and the numbers. And most agents, when I ask about their numbers, they're focused on one: volume, maybe commission dollars second. But volume can be very misleading because you can sell 10 houses for 3% or 30 for 1%. You're making the same amount. One has a lot more volume than the other. If you charge less, volume is a misguided metric. Said differently, I would much rather sell 10 million of real estate at 3% than 20 million at 1%. So volume is a cool metric, but it doesn't tell you the deal type, the deal source, and what you're charging. That tracker should tell you all that information. There's 3 levers we can use to grow our business. This is a little off topic, but it dovetails into yesterday's homework. You can increase the amount of homes you sell. No shit, Sherlock. No one calling me a genius for telling you that. That's the volume play. That's where agents, I want to sell from 12 to 24, from 10 million to 20 million. You'll make more money more than likely. But the second thing is make each transaction more valuable. Better sale prices, better commission rates. And then the third one, which is kind of a sneaky, is fewer costs to acquire the transaction or service the business. In layman's terms, that means spend less on your business for better outcomes. Dollar saved, dollar earned, right? There's someone that in my previous office, the walls were paper thin. Everything was glass. I mentioned this yesterday. And so I could hear conversations to my right and left. And the person to my right had an awesome business. I was jealous of this guy. I was a top 3 agent in my office, but this guy was number 1 at the time. Anyway, I would listen to him do all these cool things. I'm like, man, if I could just figure it out. Well, one day he came in despair. Him and I were working late, 8 p.m. or something. I'm like, what's up, man? How you been? He's like, oh, not good. Turns out the guy made over $1 million a year in revenue and spent most of it on his business. He had $30,000, $40,000 being spent on Zillow every month. He had a bunch of money on salaries. He had a bunch going here, there. He was doing great, but what he actually took home was a fraction of what I was seeing. Now, he was up for all the awards. He had all the statistics that I thought I wanted so bad, but my margins were like 75%, maybe 80%, somewhere in there. And so you tell me who has more success. It's not like arguably he does, but what we got paid was a very different number. So if your 3 categories are amount of homes to sell, making the transaction more valuable, going from 2.5% to 3% on average would change your business doing nothing else. And then fewer costs to service your business. If you make a 20% increase in all 3 of those, you are better off than a 50% increase in one of them. In other words, if you sell 10 homes a year and go to 15, changing nothing else, you'd be worse off than you would changing, just going to 12 homes instead of 15, going from, let's say, 2.5% to 2.75% on average, and cutting your costs by 25%. I don't have that math in front of me, but every time I run it for a client, the net income is a lot better than just focusing on the first. So food for thought, food for thought. And the exercise yesterday was hopefully giving you a little framework around all of those topics. Anyone have any questions or thoughts about yesterday's audit before we get into today?
I have a quick question, Jonathan.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know, because it messes up your average, unless this is how you want it, the average per transaction when you include rentals, and the amount is 2,500 or whatever it is to rent. Is that what you want it to do? Yeah,
I would say if you do a lot of leases, it's maybe creating a second sheet that focuses on rental. Just make a copy and do a second sheet for rentals and just focus on your sales on one. Because I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
Muddy.
Yeah. I've only had 3, but I mean, it did impact the average. So I was like, I just don't think that we want that like that. So, okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Smart point. If anyone does rentals, get them off this sheet, make a new sheet if you want, but this is for your sales. Perfect. Any other questions?
I just had a quick question. Someone else asked in the chat how to calculate the broker split.
So do you make 100% commission where you work, or do you have to pay the brokers something?
Yeah. So I pay like a resource fee and also a broker fee.
The resource fee doesn't have space on the tracker. I would say that's a cost to run the business if it's quarterly or monthly. Just I was on an 85% split. So I put everything was dollars, 85% equals net income. And then I had my operating budget, which is a separate thing altogether. What
Okay.
we're trying to figure out is what does each deal pay for getting all the nickel and dime fees, also for getting how much photos cost for your listing. Like all that's a whole separate can of worms. This is just your broker split against the gross total commission. If you're at 100%, they align. But if you're not, there's going to be a delta.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
For sure. Awesome. These are great questions. I see Kelsey's back. Hello, Kelsey. You'll be monitoring the chat as we go through today. All right, cool. Let's get after it. Yesterday, here's my thought. It was about clarity, at least beginning the process of getting some clarity. And today is about what you do with it. That's how I want to focus on today and focus primarily on what it is we're going to do now that we know what hopefully we would like to accomplish. Make sense? If I could distill into simple terms how a business actually grows, it looks this way. Visibility creates awareness, but the follow-up creates conversations and systems create consistency. In other words, you got to have all three. You have to be visible. That's attracting leads, right? But we all know just finding people doesn't mean they're automatically going to work with us. There's a follow-up to keep a conversation alive that already started or to start one that hasn't yet begun. So you can have great marketing, but we need to dial in the steps thereafter to go from possibility to client. And it's really when we create systems around how to do that, that we start to, have consistent results. A system is just something that you can rely on that you don't always have to do yourself. Now, it doesn't mean you won't do it yourself, but a good example would be automatic reminders to reach out to certain contacts in certain intervals. If you have a big bucket of leads in CRM and every 3 weeks you have a task reminder to reach out, it doesn't rely on memory or motivation to reach out. That's a system. It's a very simple system, but it's something that you still do it, but the system keeps you on track. Now, you don't have to adhere to your reminders. Systems can be ignored, but a system keeps your glue together in the business as you get busier. Anyone have this? Drop in the chat if you felt this before. You do everything right. You get on a hot streak. And because of that, you're so busy helping clients and this is what you asked for. And now it's here. And you're just immersed in the work of making those things happen. You get a bunch of closings. And on the backside of the closings, you got crickets in your business again. Has that happened to anyone? They work so hard. They stop doing it because now they have to service the business. And now it's like a restarting of their process again. Let me see. Oh, there's the chat. Cool. Yeah, of course. Cool. Guys, thank God I'm not the only one, right? Thank God I'm not the only one. I call that peaks and valleys. It's normal in every business cycle, but with a good system in place, you can really reduce the downside. You can't take it to zero, but you can make it a whole lot less prominent. So think of systems as how does it keep me on track even when I get super busy? And so simple works. I'll give you some frameworks today to help you, but we have to address a very big elephant in our business development world. Humans are the same, but different relationships are there, whether it's a lead, a past client, or sphere of influence. They're not the same. They are the same person, but the same need, a place to sell, a home search. That's similar. But what you do to attract them, to carry a conversation with them, and ultimately convert them into a client looks very, very different. And so what a lot of people that I coach with struggle is as they begin to go through lead generation, exit their sphere of influence, exit working only with their past clients toward leads. Think of open house strangers coming in, a geographic farm, expired listings for sale by owners, creating opportunities around your current listings. Hell, even agent-to-agent referrals. They don't know you yet. The agent might, but not the customer, not the client. If you apply the same plan to the stuff you do with your past clients and sphere of influence, you're not going to get good results. We have to treat them this a little bit differently. That includes timing. In other words, when you do something, what you do when you do it, like the type of message, the type of follow-up you're doing, and ultimately the amount of it. I'll keep it real simple. Your leads need more. Your leads need more. And so when I unpack someone's business and they say, I've done lead generation, it doesn't work. and we go through it, what I mostly find is that they're treating everyone the same. And those leads that are strangers to you, they don't yet know you, they don't yet like you, and they sure as heck don't trust you. We need to earn those three, unlike you would with a past client or a sphere person. Make sense? I want to conceptualize this. 3 buckets in your business. Past clients and sphere of influence, they look a lot alike. But if you'll notice, the point of reaching out to a past client is to just like reinforce that trust and get some repeat business or referrals. If we don't do that, we're leaving it to chance, bad plan. But that's really it. We've already earned, they already like you, they already believe you're a good choice. Sphere of influence, the relationship's intact. So we're just trying to stay top of mind. Think of me as your real estate resource. You go from my barber or my kid's parent, friend, to Jonathan's our real estate resource. There's a little bit of a thing that I have to accomplish there, but you already like me, you already know me. And so how I go about that is pretty darn casual compared to a lead who I need to build credibility with. I need to build permission to even talk to you, to come over and like explore what it is you want to do. These are different humans, different plans. And so make it clear, if you don't do anything, you're going to miss out on all three. If you leave it to chance, even your past clients in many cases won't reach back out. Your sphere of influence won't turn the corner and say, aha, Jonathan, real estate resource, connection point. What it will sound like is they know you're in real estate, you've talked to them about it, and you're sitting there hanging around next time, and they say, oh, we just made an offer on a house. You're like, you did? Really? When? Yeah, we went to an open house and the agent was so cool and we did the paperwork and we're under contract. Son of a gun. That sphere of influence, they just didn't think of you as that real estate person in their life. So that's the homework. Out of curiosity, be curious in the chat. Drop it now if you have an answer. What percentage of people end up using their realtor again? In other words, if the layoff is 3, 5, 7, 10 years between buying or selling a place, of those people that said I would absolutely use my realtor a second time, what's the percent that actually use their realtor a second time? Yeah, we've got single digits in some cases, 22, 5%, 15, 20, 27. Y'all are pretty smart here. Let's call it 27%. That number keeps changing. If you think about that, that's 1 in 4. This includes people you left you a 5-star review on your Google business page. Only 1 in 4 are actually going to use you again unless you do something to solidify that relationship during that layaway. It's crazy, right? We just assume, of course, they're going to reach out. Bad plan. And so we need a system there too. Yeah, y'all are smarter than most rooms I talk to. Most rooms think it's a lot higher. They think most people reach back out. It's not true. The data is crystal clear. Does anyone feel like when it comes to their leads, they have a good idea of how to handle them? Do they have a good follow-up plan? Do they have clarity on what they should be talking about in the follow-up? Or are they just waiting till they're motivated, going into their CRM and trying to start conversations? Anyone have a good plan, or does anyone feel like they just need some structure around their leads? No wrong answers, but I'd be curious. If you have a good plan, I want to hear about it at the end of Q&A. If you feel like you need some structure, listen up to these next couple of slides here. So I'm going to change your business if you really take me serious on this. I mean it. Love it. I love it. Let's talk about leads. Who are leads? They're strangers. Think of it that way. They need real estate stuff, but they're strangers. So everyone else is someone different. First step is log those leads in your CRM. If you're going to do an open house, sacrifice your Sunday, have good conversations, get them to sign in, get their contact info, and don't put them in a CRM that reminds you to stay in touch with them. You must hate your Sundays. It's not a good idea. You did all the hard stuff. The easy part was to put them in CRM and tag them as a lead, put them in a group called leads. Hell, at least a spreadsheet called leads. That's a dashboard of people that you feel you should be following back up with. It's impossible or damn near to convert a lead on the first go around. It's damn near impossible. It requires follow-up. In fact, let's do another chat challenge, shall we? Leads, not your past clients, not your buddies, not your sphere of influence people, those you go to church with. No, I'm not talking about them. Strangers. Out of curiosity, how many follow-up attempts do you think the average agent does with a lead? Let's say a sign call comes in, an open house prospect. What's average? An average realtor who's reasonably motivated. I see twos and threes, 3 to 5, 3 to 5, two, maybe three. Yeah. Well, about half the industry does one. About 2/3 will not get to 3 attempts. So if I said this differently, 3 attempts is about a third of the industry. When you start talking 5 attempts, less than 10%. Shouldn't it be 12? Cataline says, I'm sorry, Fox, I love your last name, by the way. Sorry, I got your first name wrong. Should it be 12? I don't know. But I'll give you some ideas here in a second. It doesn't necessarily, there's no rule. But just remember, less than 10% follow up 5 times with a sign call, an open house inquiry, someone that enters their atmosphere to their business. Well, why is that a problem? Do you realize that 80% of leads, maybe you already know this, but when surveyed, 80% of leads need 5 or more follow up touches before a buying decision is made? I don't mean buying a house. I mean signing a buyer broker agreement. I mean signing a listing agreement. I mean agreeing to meet for coffee and take you seriously, interview you. 4 in 5 leads require those like 5 attempts. And then 2/3 of them require it over a 3-month or more time horizon. It's crazy, right? If you think about if 10% of agents are following up 5 times, but 80% of leads need 5 times, half the industry is following up once, the client, the prospect needs 5. Where's the competitive advantage doing nothing different? Just get the 5 attempts with everybody. I hear this so often when I'm in a live setting. People say, Jonathan, why would I follow up if someone hasn't replied the last 2 or 3 times? Why would I try again? And my answer to you would be because they're busy and they don't give a shit about you. It's not personal. It's not personal. I don't hate you. I'm just busy. I've got a business. I got kids, got clients. You do too. Who here is not busy? We're all busy. And so well-meaning people that intend on using you, intend on getting back to you, sometimes don't. And it's not because they hate you. There's another side of this. Maybe you're trying to text a phone person or call someone that never picks up their phone because they're like me and get 1,000 spam calls a day, but will reply to an email or a text. Has anyone ever tried to email a phone person? There's different ways to communicate now. And now the fourth dimension is social media, DMing. It's huge. It's massive. People are checking Instagram 100 times a day and their text messages once a day. It's crazy. So if you're being smart about it, you're diversifying the ways you try to reach someone. So maybe if someone hasn't gotten back to you 2 or 3 times, it's that you're just trying the wrong thing. You're just picking up the phone and calling them. Where if you shot them a text, gave them a yes or no question, they would say yes, and you would set up a time to talk. Think of it in terms of that. If you are going to do lead generation or would like to convert and close more leads in your business, simple guidance, follow up 5 times over 3 or more months. You do that, you are doing what 10% or fewer of your colleagues are doing, and it's what 4 in 5 leads require from their agent before a buying decision is made. LinkedIn too, I see that. Yeah, social media, social, LinkedIn. There's a lot that you can do. So if we just left it alone at that, you would have a competitive advantage. But there's a second part. We talked about this yesterday. Let me remind you, before reaching out, you want to tap into one of really 3 things. You want to deepen the connection with the relationship. You want to invoke curiosity within the relationship. That looks like what? If anyone was here yesterday, you got a few examples. I found this off-market great opportunity. Would you like me to send it over? I know you're not buying until this fall, but it made me think of you. Oh, sure. Maybe that would get a lead to engage. Anyone try to dangle a great deal? Would you like me to send it over? Found something for a different client, made me think of you. It's nearby where we met at that open house. By the way, anything new with your real estate life? If you invoke curiosity, the quality of your replies goes up. Connection, curiosity, or great insight. That's the third one. Either way, if it doesn't do that, don't send it. Don't call with it. And God love me for saying, for the love of God, never say I'm just checking in with you. We're too busy as a society, as human beings, to reply to stuff like that. With AI, with automation, with the amount of spam we're getting, we get thousands of emails a week. We get hundreds of texts. We get dozens of calls. We have lots of going on social media, ads running all the time. Your clients, your prospects are an information overload. And when you signal low effort energy like checking in, they ignore it because they have to get to their, get through their day. So to be clear, connection or curiosity, those are the two levers. And when you think about how you follow up with leads, just pick one or the other. There are some people you encounter that are not really relationship, bake your cookies on a Sunday kind of people, but they really do respond well to great insights or some type of opportunity. On the inverse, the same is true. Just don't check in. Better quality of our questions, the better quality of responses. So 5 attempts, 3 months, add this, you're doing what less than 3% of the industry is doing, I promise. Most of the people that are following up multiple times, 5, 10, 20, are the same people that are saying checking in every single time. Wanted to see if anything changed with your real estate life.
Connection/thinking of you,
What
building.
insight does that offer? What insight does that offer if you just say checking in? Anyway, that might have worked 20 years ago, guys, but it doesn't work anymore. And if you're doing it and you're not getting replies, we figured out why. If you have a way to track replies, meaning a software, Follow Up Boss, My Software, Fox 360, a lot of these have red receipts. You can see who's opening your stuff. If they're opening it and not replying, keep on with it, especially in that case. Maybe send a text next. Maybe a video message. Hey, it's Jonathan. We met in an open house. Like, switch it up, see where it goes. It's not just dialing for dollars. It's not just sending emails. If we do this with our leads, it's a far better plan. Now, you might come to the conclusion at this moment, this sort of plan would be crazy for your past clients, and you would be right. We've got to do a different plan there. This is all about those strangers where you're trying to build trust and rapport. And specifically for them, here's what I want you to think about. You, at the bottom of this pyramid, need to have some system in place that reminds you to follow up 5 times over 3 months. Like a pyramid, you don't want to skip the base and go right to outsourcing or automation. That comes later. At the base, if you want to change your business overnight, every lead you get, follow up in that way. A simple system that's available to all of you is to go inside your current CRM and set up on all your contacts and leads a reminder every 3 weeks, just every 21 days. And you just continue to cycle through the connection, curiosity, insights paradigm. But if we're not doing the bottom, the next one doesn't matter. But if you are, this is where your mass communications, think of your newsletters, something printed and mailed to people's mailbox. Like, we're going to get into that in a couple minutes. But this is where now most people are relying on that newsletter to connect with everyone, skipping the base. But once you have the base, those layered communications are wonderful. And then the third step is using automation and AI, which is very available now, to really streamline this process. But only then would you want to use something of that size. Start with the bottom. If you're not doing that, let's start there. Stephanie, I saw something in the chat. Do you ever archive or remove leads from your CRM if they never responded or answer a call? I don't. If you look at the bottom here, there's you reaching out one by one. I mentioned action plans, hot, warm, and cold. If you got lots of leads and you have a desire to get really good at lead generation, make sure you have different categories of leads, and you can tag them as those 3. Hot is anyone in the next 6 months. If you meet someone in an open house who says, we're buying a house this spring, they're a hot lead. That would probably mean once a week you're reaching out, not once every 3 weeks, but we're getting in the weeds. Warm is that 6 to 18 month range. Cold is just, we don't know what happened, but they haven't said go away yet. And that you can probably throw to your mass communications and automation rather than you reaching out. Once you got past a certain point, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And when you get really slow, you might go to the cold leads. But that's the way I would handle it rather than just archiving or removing. But I'll leave that to you. So for anyone to recap that has lots of leads, just determine if they're hot or cold, and warm is the in-between. Awesome. Anyone have any leads in their business that haven't gotten back to them in a while, or you have not been in touch in a while? Here's your way to re-engage them without sounding awkward. Acknowledge the last time you contact, even if it's been 2 years. Man, it's been 2 years. I met you at an open house. Time flies. I haven't been in touch. You came to mind because this is the key, guys. You always have one of these couple. I was showing a home in the area we met and made me think of you. I'm helping a client with something similar that we talked about. Thought of you. Remembering the follow-up connection. This is the why they came to mind, thought of you. If you're being a human, you almost always have something you could follow up with and maybe think of you. Tap into it. Something about their situation in the market. And then, by the way, I'm always here to be a resource. By the way, anything new with your real estate plans? Notice the offer and the support comes last. To be clear, the PS of every message is the ask. It never leads. So we're getting a little bit more into the tricks behind getting better engagement. If you're leading with an ask, you're going to find fewer people replying. If you lead with connection or curiosity and those things, and by the way, anything change with your plans? A different one could be, I know you said you do everything the same, but to end the message or end the phone call, I know you said that it will be fall or next spring, but I wanted you to have this anyway as your real estate resource. And by the way, if anything should change with your real estate plans, I'm here to help. So for those leads that say, well, I'm not ready yet, what am I going to reach out about? You can acknowledge the fact they're not ready and just make sure they have something of value. So there's different ways you can do it, but make no mistake, the PS is the, oh, by the way, at the end of it is where the magic will happen. Any questions? What if, we got one in the chat. What if they never get back to you? There's anyone know the name Ryan Serhant? Most of us probably do. He's a very successful realtor in New York City. He was on a podcast recently that I listened to. And his entire thesis is that he will follow up with someone until they die. You would literally have to say F off or I'm dead before he stops following up. I know most people that just heard that thought, what a loser. The guy is worth a lot of money. He does pretty well. His business has grown like a freaking hockey stick. He has, in his words, 100 billionaires in his phone. That's how he approaches them too. It has nothing to do with price point, anything. It's just he doesn't stop until you say to stop. So for some of you that are wondering, what should I do? It's up to you. But the most successful in this industry don't ask that question. They just do. If you can find a way to not be bothered or offended by rejection, and it's not that hard when you get paid really well for enduring some of it, you're just unstoppable. Most of what I hear about when I have clients or do these trainings, man, I feel like such a chump if I kept following up and they never got back to me. They should know my value. They'll reach out when they want something. Okay. That's one way to look at it. Or you just do what most won't, and you're going to get paid like most don't. I'm not saying be a pest. I'm just saying don't give up so soon. Endure a little rejection to get a huge payoff. To recap, 4 in 5 leads need at least 5 attempts before they'll even meet. Less than 10% of agents are doing that 5 attempts. Tells you everything you need to know. Tells you everything you need to know. At least that's my perspective. Awesome. Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, good. We're good to go. Now, inside coaching my one-on-one clients, for anyone that will end up in my program at some point, we have an entire software built with this included. Automations, workflows, it replaces a bunch of tools. This is available for all my one-on-one clients. And it's something that we build for them so they don't have to figure it all out. But to be clear, you can build this inside of your CRM with just simple action plans and reminders. If you don't want to do the guesswork and eventually end up in coaching, this is available to you. But this is how it looks. I mean, simple stuff. How do you get 5 follow-up attempts over 3 weeks, 3 months, just with some automation? This is what that would look like in most CRMs. Tasks, reminders, time delays, like that. These are automations and workflows that we've personally built inside my software. You can't buy it off, like it's only for my one-on-one clients. But if you have a system in place that keeps you on track, the only thing that you're missing is the effort. No one can do that for you. But this is what a well-organized action plan looks like for leads. But again, to be clear, if you're going to spend time, effort, or money on lead generation, I hope you have something on the back end to follow through 5 or more times. That's not just your monthly newsletter and hoping they open it. Any questions about leads in general? This is a crash course on what to do differently with those leads you're going to create, which we're going to talk about today, Thursday, and Friday. But any questions? Drop in the chat if you think there's room for improvement with your follow-up with your lead approach in general? Drop in the chat if you think anything should change. Let me just see what we got. Yeah. Awesome. I hope this helps at least reframe what we're trying to do, not with your past clients, not with your sphere of influence, but these darn strangers you're meeting that are worth pure gold if you get it right. You know what's so relieving about leads? They're limitless. You only have so many past clients. You have only so many sphere of influence people. Anyone here new to a market? Drop in the chat if you're within like a year or two of moving back or moving to a new market. Is that anyone? If that's you, you don't have the sphere, you don't have the past clients, but what you always have is lead generation. And there's a ton of people in your market that just aren't getting what they need from their real estate agent. So go ahead and be otherwise, and you'll have disproportionate success. But let's talk about the other side of the equation. How do you engage your database, meaning your clients, past clients, sphere of influence, without being a pest? Going back to our statistic, remember 23% or thereabouts actually used their realtor a second time. Has anyone, drop in the chat if this has happened to you? If you've been in the business for at least 5 years, you're doing a search for another client and you see a listing come up and you think to yourself, man, that looks familiar. Where have I seen that before? And then you look at it and you're like, shit, I helped them buy that house. I was their buyer agent. Why is there another listing agent there? Has that happened to anyone? Just me. Oh, Audra, thanks. Thank you for relieving me. Literally just happened. Nikki, Linda. Okay, thank God, guys. Thank God. Well, this is how we prevent most of it. Some of it you can't. But if it's happened to you, you know how freaking bad that hurts because you feel like in some cases they have left me a 5-star review. They've sent me 3 referrals and they're using Redfin. Like, oh my gosh, drives you nuts. So here's what you do. You got to stay in touch. You can't be a pest. We mentioned this yesterday. But if you only reach out when you need something, it just, people get slick to that. They're like, they're asking for another referral. He's asking if I know anyone who wants to buy or sell. So here's what we do. Well, let's try this. 6% of your database will be active this year. If you have 1,000 contacts in your database, about 60 people are going to buy, sell, or rent. That's on average. So it conceptualizes what's at stake for anyone to figure this out. The larger the database of past clients, sphere of influence, and even leads, you see where this is going. But for your clients, expertise-based content is how you actually stay in touch without being a pest. I'll give you a framework. If anyone is sending the canned office newsletter, the Happy 4th of July, everything is just impersonal and says nothing and is fluffy stuff, you're not doing what you think you're doing to stay in touch. On the other side, if all you're doing is when you're motivated or remember to do so is pick up the phone and randomly call people on a Tuesday that you helped buy a house 2 years ago, that's better than nothing, but it's something that relies on your motivation, your availability. And for most people today, unless they're a really good relationship, is getting tuned out. Most people aren't picking up that call. They ain't really listening to that voicemail. It's not moving them. What does move people is when you provide some expertise that gives them insights they wouldn't otherwise have, amongst other things. So here's the playbook. If you have a no sphere of influence or not much, but you have an email account, social media, and a cell phone, this is how you grow your sphere of influence. Go through your phone, your contacts, those people that are local that you know, put them on a spreadsheet. Go through your Instagram and Facebook. If they're local and you know them and you have that level of comfort to be connected with them on social, that's a part of your sphere of influence. If you have emails, same idea. People that say, I don't have much of a sphere, but have these 3 and hundreds of people in each, you have a big sphere. You just haven't organized it. And once you organize it, this is my vote. Reach out and say, I'm starting something where we'll share some insights and would like to include you. If you're good with that, shoot me an email and or a physical mailing address. I'll make sure you're included. Never spam, make it personal. This is just an example. But if you're committed to doing some expertise-based content, not just dancing on TikTok, like this is a very good way to organize interest and gather your sphere of influence. Now, you can grow your sphere in other ways. We don't have time today to go through each one, but just know there's ways to grow that sphere. So once you have that sphere gathered, those past clients, here's what I suggest you do. 12 newsletters a year, not the canned office newsletters, but something that you create of value going to them, answering the simple question of, how's the real estate markets? What's the latest? Now, you can answer this question in many different ways. Drop in the chat some if you have ideas. But the article that we just sent to our clients, every month we send something to our one-on-one clients so they don't have to work so hard on this. But we did, it's January. Here are the 5 predictions we have for the month of, or for the year of 2026. Or I think it was the 6 things happening in 2026. Really good insights about what should happen in the market. There's different topics for different months. You can answer the question, how are the luxury markets? There's many different things and perspectives, but make sure it is something of substance. Do it once a month to your entire list. 4 or 6 times a year, get something in their mailbox that isn't just digital. Digital, if anyone here getting above 50% open rates on their emails, like their mass emails, you are, Jonathan? Well done, man. 50% is really good these days. And you work hard at it. I get it. 37%, Lorraine, that's about average. Like you're actually on it. You're doing great. I know it doesn't feel that way as someone who sends thousands of emails a week. I get it. Digital is hard. It's saturated. 20 years ago, it was the way to be. 10 years ago, it was still easier. Now it's tough. What has become red hot again is the mailbox. So something physical to their mailbox a couple times a year. The reason I don't do it every month is because it costs money. But what if you did a newsletter that you stuffed in an envelope and mailed to them? Or my personal favorite is create something more professional that's like from a professional mail house sent to them, answering the question of how's the market, showcasing some of your listings 4 to 6 times a year. That's a really solid thing to layer on with your digital. You're not asking for referrals. You're not saying anything. Just wanted you to have something of interest. And so if you're doing the top 2 and you're doing the math, you've got 12 emails and 4 to 6 emails going out. There's a lot of touch points. But the way to really layer in something special is to do some type of event with your database and then some type of card at the end of the year, holiday gifting at the end of the year. An event looks simple. Anyone here have something they care about? You can pair a good cause with your business and spend $0 to engage your entire database and start a lot of rapport building and conversations. Every year, I used to do a coat drive for a homeless shelter in my city. It was for a really good cause. I would email, text, and call my entire database. We're gathering coats. You have 2 days for collection at my office. If you can't make it, we'll come pick them up. Would you like to participate? Do an Evite. None of this cost any money, and it was doing a great thing in my community. And I had dozens of conversations in the month of January every single year because of a coat drive. And now you can do the client appreciation wine and dine and party. I love it. It's just expensive. It's a lot of rigmarole, but you can do something very low cost to no cost in your business because the event isn't about the event, guys. It's about the inviting and the thank you. It's the touch points that keep you in touch. So this is your database. Treat them as good people, but this is a really solid framework for anyone that's like, I don't know what to do. Here's what that coat drive would look like. Man, this is a couple of my clients who did these things this year. One did a shredding event. Eldad, who's in coaching, awesome guy. On the left-hand side, coat drive. Like this stuff doesn't have to cost you a lot. The shredding event cost Eldad, I think, $600, and he partnered with a lender. So he spent $300 to have his entire database invited over to shred their documents come tax season. Cool stuff. Awesome. Question for you. I know we're up against it. But I do think this last topic, we'll spend about 5 minutes and open it up for Q&A. This last topic is something that we need to address. Anyone here see social media as a business development tool in their business, something that will get them clients? Does anyone see it as a business development tool? I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Seeing a lot of yeses. Then we have to ask ourselves the question, as we would with any other marketing tool, what's the role of it in my business? What should I post? How often? And going back to yesterday's topic, am I simply branding my business or am I doing something to do with marketing? Anyone here yesterday, we talked about the differences, and I won't recap, but there's a big difference in how we deliver things based on those two. And so let's talk about how we should approach it. One of my biggest gripes right now is that people are using social media in a confused way, but they see it as a business generating tool. I don't think it needs to be all about your business. But if you're going to use it for your business, to grow your business, to be an accessory to staying in touch with leads, past clients, and sphere of influence, it should be a better blend of personal and business. 80-20, let's say, 20 personal, 80 business. But the personal should still be about you, making you a human, not who you voted for, not for what's going on in the world. Not to say those things are not gravely important. I understand, believe me. But I also understand that if you see it as a business tool and you're treating it like social media, socially, you're confused. And it's not going to work nearly as well as if you just figured it out and stuck with it. The other trend I see so often is people dancing in listings to like teenager stuff on their social media to get a bunch of likes and comments from other realtors. Entertainment isn't what we want to showcase our business through. We want expertise to lead, right? Are you an expert? Am I your best choice? Yes and yes, I got to show it. And if it's going to be a part of my business from a business development tool standpoint, it's got to show my business, it's got to show my expertise. It has to lead that way and still make me a human on the side. But if you were to look at your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, whatever you're using, and ask yourself, does it show I'm an expert, available for their home sale or search? And it gets those people who are engaging in those topics, like real sellers, real buyers, better information, better answers to questions. If it's not doing that, am I really using this in the right way? Or am I just trying different stuff based on trends I'm seeing other people do? The truth is, a lot of the engagement in this business is just about clicks and likes from other realtors. And I want you to grow and scale your business using a tool that doesn't cost you anything, that's highly effective in 2026. So my two non-negotiables of social media, whether you're using it for branding or marketing, is don't use it for don't entertain people on it. If you say funny before trusted pro, you're just like not doing what you want, is my guess. If you don't believe me, as soon as we're done with today's training, go to Chrome, Google Chrome or Safari, open an incognito browser, meaning not a browser you use, but file incognito browser, private browser. Type in your first and last name and the word realtor and look at the first page of what comes up. There'll be 10 things. That's what Google does. My guess is your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, and your TikTok will all be on the first page of Google. So will your business profile, maybe a Zillow profile, something else. But if anyone thinks their social media isn't a very public part of their lead generation strategy, they're wrong, simply because it's highly searchable. And anyone who's considering using it is probably checking it out first. Anyone here thinking about joining coaching? The answer is yes. My guess is you've looked at my social media. Not because, I mean, you just want to see like what's going on there. So the second part is, if we're not talking to someone specific, we're really not talking to anyone. If you were to go to my social media now, it's for one person in mind, a realtor who wants to grow and scale their business. And then there's some personal stuff. I love my daughter. I love the vacations I take. I'm a human first. But at the end of the day, I'm talking to that person. And it's where a lot of my leads come from. And in my real estate business, I got this wrong many, many times. I was there in 2016 when there was a very contentious election where a lot of people put their stuff on there. I was there for COVID when people I get there's world stuff happening. I get there's viral trends in the broke agent and everyone's saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. But if you were to focus your social media to showcase your expertise and specifically for the person you want to help more of, you're just going to convert a lot more, get the engagement, and then follow up as if it's a lead. Don't just send one message and forget about it. Circle back with people a couple of weeks later. So social media can be such a big topic, but those are some things worth reconciling today. Drop in the chat if you feel like that resonates with what you're feeling or seeing about social media, or stick around in a minute for some Q&A, and I'd love to get your thoughts. Cool, we're up against it, but let's wrap up with these next two slides and then we'll open it up for Q&A. The database is really different than your leads. I want to make that abundantly clear. They both fit inside of this thing called database, but it's like this over here and that over there. So you don't want to talk to them the same way. You don't need to follow up 5 times, get ghosted by past clients. That's a bad sign. They're not coming back. But your lead will probably need that from you. Your newsletters and client events, really helpful to stay in touch with your past clients and sphere, not very effective for your leads. What's effective for your leads are all those manual attempts, and then you layer that on. That's icing on the cake. So your homework for tomorrow, we're not here tomorrow. We're taking the day off. If anyone wants to take the next step, here's what I want you to do. Go pull 10 or 20 leads from the last 12 months. Just write a message that invokes one of the two things we talked about today and either call them with it, send a text or email. But make a really high quality message using the lead framework we said. Hey, it's been a while. Something happened, made me think about you. Here's something I wanted you to have, something you wanted to know. Would you like me to send it over? Connection, curiosity. And by the way, anything new with your real estate life, I'm always here. And just see where that engagement goes. I want that would be like some really good work for people tomorrow to get in the habit. You'll notice as you try this, you can kind of use the same message and just personalize it slightly. You don't have to reinvent the wheel for everyone, but try this for 10 or 20 leads. That's how you're going to get there. And I'll show you that this is not my opinion. This is what's working for our current one-on-one clients. Yesterday, we talked about winter. These clients are operating in winter. They have the same competition as you. They're dealing with the same damn interest rates, but they're making different decisions. And here's what that ends up looking like. Georgia on the left-hand side, I just did her business planning session. She grew her business 69% last year in GCI. She's one of our clients right now. She's been with me for 2 years. First year, we did a lot. The second year, another 70%. Nikki, she took 6 listings. She never listed a property before we got into coaching. Last year, she did 6, and she grew her business by 56%. And then I got my friend Joe's on the right-hand side. He opened his own brokerage and grew his business over 400% in coaching this year, in 2025, I should say. So these are real examples of people that are just doing what we talked about today. I'm not bullshitting with you. These are the numbers, and they're not smarter than you. They're not better than you. They're just doing what we talked about today, and they're getting fantastic results. So if anyone needs that kind of help, we're here. Kelsey will drop a link to book a call with me. We'll go through your business. Not here to sell coaching. I'm here to provide value. But I know there's some people listening that just feel like they're tired of waiting. They want to get after it, just like these 3 did. I'm here for you. And with that, what we got? Q&A. Kelsey, I miss anything in the last week?
So Elizabeth had asked what the difference is between Compass CRM and Fox 360.
A lot. Compass CRM is a great tool. Fox 360 is a great lead generation tool. That, oh, by the way, is a CRM. So my Compass clients keep their Compass account. We bolt on Fox 360 and they work hand in glove. There's a lot of lead gen stuff and automations and workflows that we've pre-built in Fox 360 that Compass doesn't have.
And then Jonathan was asking if he could see that other mailer again. I'm not sure if he's wondering about the quarterly newsletter slide, maybe.
Yeah, let me drop my screen. What else we got?
And then Catalin said she's afraid of using templates because sometimes they go out wrong.
You mean like automation, probably, if I heard you correctly?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm kind of wondering, like, I know
I'll tell you,
I
Can you hear me?
yep.
I could be more specific. First of all, my name is Carolyn. I don't know how
Oh, sorry.
Madeline, but that's kind of funny. Sometimes, when I use the Compass CRM and they give me, is this a first time buyer? You can schedule this email, that email, blah, 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 like 3 emails, once a week, blah, 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 whatever the parameters are. And invariably, because, you get busy and stuff, and I want it to be automated, but then I will have spoken to them before the 3rd email or something crazy like that and forget to cancel that last scheduled email. That's what drives me crazy. And that's why I'm afraid of using those automated template emails, because I'm only human. And I love talking to strangers. That's not the problem. It's just there are only so many hours in a day. And that brings me back to the question about social media. Social media for me is a huge time sucker. One of the things that I'm doing this year is consciously writing down how much time I'm spending on social media. And if I'm scrolling, that's like as bad as watching TV or eating candy and fattening food. But if I'm on social media, trying to learn more about somebody I've been stalking or newly, or responding to something that I'm seeing, just so I can touch that other person in a different way from calling, texting, or emailing, it keeps my relevance up. So, does that count?
Yeah,
'Cause
I think it's a new medium, but same idea.
Yeah.
We're creating connection.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think your first part, you're smart to basically limit the amount of social media. It's a time suck for everyone.
Oh
You're
my
number one.
God.
But the automation part, the plan for you is to create a plan that reminds you to do things, not to automatically do them.
And a compass is great about reminding me, you get up in the morning, Carolyn, you have 47 tasks you have to do today. And I can't do everything. It's maybe I should have fewer tasks. Maybe I should order just 4 tasks a day. But when I see that volume of stuff to do, it overwhelms me, and I want to shoot myself.
Well, going back to what we talked about yesterday and a little bit today, let the most important part of your business, I mean, your clients are first place, but what's right behind it is growing the business with new clients.
Right.
Don't leave that to chance. Time block it. Put those tasks as different categories of urgency, whatever it takes to ensure those tasks, if nothing else happens. This is where your business will grow. And so I do think it's easy to get overwhelmed with too many layers of complication, nuance, and systems. But what really matters, make time, make the task a more elevated one, whatever it takes. Could I hear you?
Yeah.
I hear you. I appreciate the question, and we'll definitely talk more about that on Thursday. To just remind everyone, we're not here tomorrow, and I'll send some emails to make that clear. But you're barking up the right tree. That's the right way to start thinking.
And I think we're related. I checked you out. I think we're related, distant cousins.
Amazing. Let's
Yeah,
talk.
I know. Crazy, right?
Jonathan, I was going to mention, Albert put it in the chat, but there is a way on the Compass platform that you can have you approve the email before it goes out. Just, Carolyn. I
Okay.
don't know how to do that specifically, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
helps. Yeah, that'll make your life
A
easier.
lot of Fox 360, that's how we build it. It's like, here's what to say, but you got to still do it. Here's the reminder. So I agree. Compass has the same feature. It's a great way to go.
Mhm.
All
Any other
right.
questions?
And then Jonathan, we will be sending out recordings from yesterday and like the whole week within the next few weeks after this week, but nothing coming out this week, correct?
Probably by end of this week.
Okay.
Probably by end of this week. I think by the weekend, certainly.
And what's the name of your book? I see it on the shelf.
Yeah, for anyone that's curious, The 21st Century Real Estate Professional. It's on Amazon. It's been the top 100 for 3 years since I wrote it. That might have slid finally, but that was a passion. The day I published the book was January 1st, 2023. Yeah. And someone said, have you ever heard of ChatGPT? This is on New Year's Day. I said, what's that? They're like, oh, it could have edited your book. Anyway, it was a passion project right before all this AI stuff happened. So
Yeah.
I'm damn proud of it. And if anyone wants to check it out, I'll put that in an email somewhere.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool, guys. Any other questions? Man, I hope this was helpful. There's a bunch of people here today and y'all are dialed in. My biggest takeaway for everyone today is let's do what most won't, which is to follow up 5 times or more, create a little system behind it so we don't rely on motivation and remembering, and just don't be discouraged if it doesn't go swell, because these are not your past clients. This is not rejection in the traditional sense. This is just they don't care about you yet. And there's a big difference. But if you persevere, they can become fantastic relationships that refer you and do all types of things. We just got to get through phase 1, which is trust, known, and liked. And that's what the follow-up game is about. Not checking in, being liked, trusted, and known. And with that, tomorrow we won't be here. Stick around for Thursday, Friday. I'm pumped for those 2 days, getting super tactical on a few topics, which I think will make a lot of sense now that we've gotten this stuff out of the way. Yuta, thank you. Thanks for grabbing the book. I mean, if anyone gets the book, it would do me a huge solid to write a review on Amazon if you find it helpful. So many people ping me like, I love your freaking book. I got 20 reviews on Amazon. I got hundreds of texts that say that. But anyway, God bless everyone. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you Thursday.
Yeah. Thank you.